This is a Global Player original podcast.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Well, let's get back to it.
Storm Aisha has been named by the Met Office today, and they called it Storm Aisha, which suggests a lack of imagination. And who on earth has ever been called Aisha, by the way? I mean, what even is that word, I-S-H-A? And I didn't know, so I looked it up. I actually did homework. Can you believe that?
No.
Aisha is a word that means the formless divine. No, I don't know what that means either. Total waste of my time looking that up. I will never do homework again. It's forecast to bring destructive wind gusts of 80 miles an hour and 4 inches of rain from this Sunday into Monday. Meteorologists have placed the entire UK under a 24-hour yellow wind warning.
Warning, warning.
Forecasters also issued 2 amber warnings, but they might as well have issued cerise or eau de Nil warnings, because we don't know what the difference between a yellow and an amber warning is. We don't even know the difference between a warning and an alert. Forecasters have warned injuries and danger to life is likely. Tiles could be blown from roofs. Roads and bridges may be shut. There's a good chance that power cuts may occur. The earth will split asunder, and the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse will tear through your garden and fling your kid's trampoline into the next door's conservatory.
Oh, no.
Train operator South Western Railway has already warned of disruption from Monday into, or Sunday into Monday, with services said to have run at reduced speeds due to the winds. Regular travellers on South Western Railway will not notice the difference. The Environment Agency has imposed 12 flood warnings where flooding is expected and 59 flood alerts. You're gonna need a bigger boat. And not only that, but an amber cold health alert is in place by noon tomorrow. Did you get all that?
No.
I count 56 alerts, 74 warnings, and a health emergency. And a partridge in a pear tree. The Met Office told of possible mobile phone outages, and rail and air and ferry services could all be cancelled, you know, as usual. And people considering driving are advised to only go out if it's really bad and low visibility, and in those circumstances you should speed up whenever it is dangerous to do so and hare about the place like you're in a video game and that nothing bad could ever happen to you because you are special. Of course, if you're driving an Audi, you will already be doing that.
Thank you.
On the plus side, it will be a lot warmer than it has been in parts of southern England and as mild as the French Riviera, wherever that is. Would you like to know the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
Right, till the end of the month. A dry start, quickly turning wet and windy with milder than normal conditions but remaining unsettled across the north and the northwest. Well, the northwest, unsettled, I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, I could check on that, but honestly, what is the point? Oh, blimey. It's raining at the moment in Glasgow. Yes, it is. Don't say it isn't. Pouring down. It will be pouring down tomorrow, and on Sunday, and on Monday, and on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, and on Thursday, and on Friday, and... Oh, what? Not raining on Saturday and Sunday. Pfft, rubbish. On Monday the 29th, it'll be raining. And then it'll be a mixture from then on. I'd expect rain, if I were you, in Glasgow. Right, that's to the end of the month. Then, first 2 weeks of February, drier and a chance of some milder interludes. Drier and a chance of some milder interludes? We'll take it. Ian says, have you been following the Daily Mail's advice to pray for the royals in distress? No. They didn't say that, did they? Pray for them. Yeah, that'll work. If prayer worked, no one would be dead now. Nick texts, did you see the dear leader getting heckled in Winchester today? Yeah, the thing is, it wasn't a heckle. He was engaging a nice lady in conversation, and she responded to him. She wasn't bellowing from the other side of the street. She just made a perfectly decent point about the NHS, and Tishy Suit Size laughed in her face and then walked away. Wow. He is so bad at this job. I mean, at least,
The great big greedy nincompoop.
at least the great big greedy nincompoop could do that kind of thing okay-ish, I suppose. I mean, he probably would have run away, wouldn't he? I mean, he's the fella that ran and hid in a blooming in a fridge, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yes, you did, you great big greedy nincompoop. But Titchy Suit Size, they keep... I don't know why he is allowing these people that corral him into doing this stuff to continue doing it. Because he can't do it. He's abysmal at meeting people. I don't know how he got on in life. Maybe just because he spent his entire working life with his face stuck in a computer screen, moving numbers about the place. People, not really his thing, are they? But whenever he meets a member of the public, it usually always goes badly. Why does he keep doing it? Why does he keep doing this job is what mystifies me. I mean, how much money does he need? Well, we were talking about this last week. Why does a man who's worth $1 billion... Why does he want to do a job that pays only 140 grand a year, something like that? That's walking around money for him, that is. Well, he probably doesn't carry cash, does he? He doesn't carry cash and he doesn't know how to use a credit card. I don't know. Maybe he has his people buy everything for him. Maybe he thinks just one look in those dark, limpid pools of his eyes and people just offer stuff for free. But that was dismal. That nice lady just laughed at her and then turned on his heels and marched off. It's another PR fail. You suck at this job, Sunak. I don't know why you're doing it. Like, I really don't. Other than it's this obsession with those who are already unimaginably rich is to make more money. That can be the only thing it's the only thing that I can understand. But the only other possible alternative is that he's trying to bring his father-in-law on side. You know, the actual billionaire. Daryl says, yet again, the liberal elite wokerati...
Okie dokie.
The wokie-dokies... They are bleating on about the Rwanda scheme, claiming that it violates the human rights laws, but why should refugees be afforded the same human rights as the rest of us? That's just the politics of envy, says Daryl, who I do believe is being sarcastic. His call in a place that is much in the news lately, South Wales. Hello, Jeff. Oh, Jeff. Oh, no, I haven't clicked him, have I? Oh, that's entirely my mistake. I haven't done this for, 4 days. I completely forgot how to do it. Jeff.
Yes, sir.
There you are.
Well, I think you're on the right track with Sunak. It's money. He wants to make more of it, I think. That's the only reason he's doing it.
It is a sickness. I think it becomes a sickness with people who have got way more money than they could ever spend if they worked their way through it, working 24 hours a day, bashing the credit card on counters all day long, 7 days a week for the rest of their lives. He wouldn't be able to get through the amount of money he's got already, but seems obsessed with making more.
Exactly. Talking about money, Port Albert's in the news.
Yes.
Remember, well, I think we've been at it for about a year now, talking about coal coming out of Phosphofran. Well, the Phosphofran coal was going to the Port Talbot Steelworks.
Right.
And I think their powers that be must have known this was in the pipeline, because then they officially stopped the coal coming from Phosphofran. Of course, it kept on going. They've piled it up there. But I wonder what the background to all of this is. I passed it the other day and it looking absolutely incredible, terribly dangerous look to it to me. It could be something that could happen there. But the other thing that, as you were an official Welsh correspondent, there was a report came out yesterday, a consultative report by none other than, do you remember the Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams.
Yeah.
Him, and a professor from Cardiff University called Laura McAllister. And they produced a report where they went around Wales for about 2 or 3 years, consulting with every viable and known person. They talked to about 15,000 people and produced this report, which came out yesterday. And in it says that it's a viable proposition that Wales could be independent economically. So that's a really interesting report, which I'm plowing my way through.
Where would the money come from? What does Wales make?
Well, the same place as where England get the money from the bond market. And I'd like to point out to you, you are 2.3 billion, that's the UK economy, is 2.3 billion in the red.
Trillion.
Officially
not billion, trillion.
Trillion. You correct me?
Yeah.
You are right. You're bust. We are bust.
Well, I don't think there's any such thing as being bust, because you can just magic the money out of thin air.
Exactly. Make some more.
How they do that, I have no idea, but I know that they can. They can just think it up and do it.
And so that's the principle that they came up with, that Wales would be a viable proposition.
Right.
Unlike Fosafran, and like this report, it hasn't hit any headlines anywhere.
No, I wouldn't think. Not even in Wales, I bet.
Well, he did discuss it yesterday on BBC Wales, so I can't say it is a complete blackout, but it's very interesting to see how things are moving.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath that anything like that you're going to move away from the rump anytime soon. I wouldn't expect that.
Rump being the operative word.
Yeah, the rump. All right. Keep us posted, Jeff. Thanks a lot, mate.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Martin texts, Sunak pleads for the Lords to respect the will of the people. My recollection is only 43.6% of the people voted in 2019, and only that percentage voted Tory. I screwed that up a bit. 43.6% of the people who voted Tory. Right. Got that. Please, therefore, don't quote the will of the people, says Martin, because the majority didn't want the Tories then, and I'm guessing even less want them now. Yeah. Well, I've got detailed files. I'll get into that in a minute. If the Tories are so concerned about the will of the people, call an election now and see what the people want. Correct Amundo. Yeah, but they won't do that because they know what the people want. What they're trying to do is to get the people to want something that the people don't want. They're trying to make this Rwanda silliness our number one priority.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priority.
Yeah, okay. You're still getting that the wrong way around. Yeah, it just, I don't know. I mean, I could be appalled. I am slightly appalled, but I've decided to be also amused a little bit about this Rwanda thing. They are like one of those robot vacuum cleaners that gets stuck in a corner and can't work its way out. It just keeps bumping from side to side, unaware that what it actually needs to do is to do a complete 180 and go in the opposite direction. So they just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again in a desperate attempt to make it our number one Rwanda. Okay, let me sum this up for you. Who cares about Rwanda? The people in this country aren't remotely interested in sending people to Rwanda. We're interested in getting a GP's appointment this month. We're interested in the fact that in this country you can't get ill now, apparently. We used to have a thing called the NHS. God knows where that's gone. People are interested in seeing that their rivers aren't flowing brown with sewage, is what their number one priority might be, depending on where they live. They might have their number one priority as not having their living room furniture float out of their windows. You know, that might be their number one priority. People aren't waking up in the morning screaming about Rwanda. That's just you lot in government because you can't think of anything else to say. It's depressing. And it's also a little bit amusing watching them flail around on this one subject, which seems to be the only thing they can talk about, apart from the repetition of their new phrase. Absolutely every single one of them keeps spouting this as though it's the route to electoral success. Square one. I mean, how many blooming times have you heard that over the last couple of weeks? Oh, we can't have... we've got to put up with this mess because otherwise we'll have the Labour Party will take us back to square one. Square one. That would be great if square one is the day on which the Tories took over. Then, yeah, let's have that. Why would you be so fearful about going back to square one? You used to be able to get a GP appointment that day. Trust and satisfaction in the NHS was at an all-time high. We had the number one rated health service in the world on day one. Let's go back to that. We can't go back to day one. You mean you couldn't find your way back to day one? We can just sit here dreaming about it. And so, because they can't think of anything else to say, and I do mean all of them, they just keep on and on and on about the Rwanda thing, and we've got to have it this way because it's not quite cruel enough, or we can't have it that cruel because that might break international law. Oh, well, to hell with international law. Let's just go ahead and do it anyway. I mean, it's just weeks go by and this is all they talk about. It's absolutely, it's just astonishing to me. You know, there was an article about, Tichy has been on about, one of the things that exercises him is that a lot of people have called in sick, since COVID. A lot of people have called in sick, and the implication is, the inference is from the government that these people are sitting at home on their luxury lounger, smoking a cigar and watching daytime television while coining it in on welfare and benefits. So there's a couple of researchers who looked into that. One's an NHS doctor, a scholar at the University of Oxford, research fellow at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and etc. and so on. She's got awards and titles up to her eyeballs. And the other fella is the director of University College London Institute of Health Equity and author of the book The Health Gap. And they looked at this thing that Sunak has been banging on about all these people who are unfit for work, or claiming they are, layabouts. And they determined that it might not actually be as Rishi Sunak is telling us. In fact, if the finger of blame was to be pointed, it might be pointed at...
this government.
Exactly. So I'll get into that in a minute. Stu says, apparently within 20 years' time, we could be invaded by Russia. Yeah, I've read that. Yeah, or it could be 20 minutes, who knows? Maybe our best line of defence is to prove to them it's not worth it by showing them pictures of smug and fabricants' hair. Then we may be able to spring a surprise attack on them before they can stop laughing. OK, a listener with material.
Oh, no.
0345 6060 973. Glasgow. Hello, Chrissy.
Hi, Nick. I just got your new book today, so thanks very much for writing that. That's perked my day up.
That's my new book, which is called The Perfectly Normal in a Well-Run Country, which is available in e-book form and paperback form for people who hate trees. Which is available on a website that rhymes with Amazon.
Which used to be around until, we had trees. And we no longer have trees because people keep writing books that are really desperately needing to be bought because they're so funny.
You mean Amazon?
The Amazon.
Amazon.
Is that not where this book came from? No?
Yes. Several very rare walnut trees were felled specifically for the purpose of making that book. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it smelled funny.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, you were talking about Rishi when he got the plus for the Rwanda bill thing, he was looking so smug, and he had the big kind of shiny Tony Blair grin on, and it was quite pathetic to see them all bunching up together like a group of school prefects.
Yeah, like they liked each other.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, aren't we clever?" You know, and of course you had your Swiss Army politicians, smug, sitting at the back there, because it just seems that whatever way the wind is blowing, it will blow him as well.
Yeah.
You know, just like a reed in the wind, he just bends and, you know, what you need me for this vote? Okay, I'll do that, you know. And here's just like a big reed just blowing in you need me over there?
Well,
no problem.
There's no weight to the man. Of course it will blow away in the slightest breeze.
Yeah, you need my vote over there. I'll drift over that direction. He's just pathetic. I phoned up primarily to talk to you about this. The last time I spoke to you was about my prep. Well, it wasn't about my prepping, but we go on to the subject of my prepping, my preparedness for disasters and emergency.
Oh, right. Yes, you have one of them grab-and-go bags, which is always packed in case of nuclear Armageddon.
Warning, warning!
Yeah, I mean, if somebody comes around your way and knocks on the door and says,
"Emergency, everybody to get from street. Emergency, everybody to get from street."
then you are ready to go.
Yeah, and they'll get told to go away because there'll be no room in the car. There's not much prep stuff, but I'll certainly let them hide in the pantry.
Now, do you? Let me ask you a question about this, because you have food in the pantry for Armageddon, right? You will be able to survive. Now, do you keep an eye on the dates on that food and then change them as necessary? Because you might find yourself surrounded by food that is inedible.
Not the case, generally speaking, with things as long as they are like really dehydrated and packet foods, or if they're tinned, they tend to be able to. I mean, you could probably open a tin of something that's 20-year-old and the food inside is probably still likely to be good, believe it or not.
Well, yeah, I don't believe it. Because I recently cleared out the cupboard of someone close to me and saw that much of what they had in their cupboard was, like 10 years out of date. And when you open the tins, it does not smell good.
No, I wouldn't recommend doing that.
No.
But generally things like all of your dry goods and everything will be fine.
Yeah. All you have to do, though, Chrissy, with dried goods is you'll need water, and that will be one of the first things that gets turned off. Vladimir Putin is going to turn off our water first and foremost. I mean, can you imagine not being able to have water? This country would descend into anarchy in about 10 seconds.
I know, and we really don't know how lucky we've got it in this country. We really don't. When you think about water being turned off to the Gazans by, Israel and stuff, that's when you think to yourself, gosh, you couldn't put yourself in their shoes in about half an hour. You can't imagine what they would go through.
No.
But that's why they ask us to prep by putting things like, just gallons and gallons of water itself. The problem is keeping it safe, actually.
And fresh.
Yeah, and fresh. Keeping stuff safe from contamination of whatever type.
Well, you want to be very, very careful, Chrissy, because if we do have a global thermonuclear war and it's only you alive, then you should be very concerned about the plastic that leaks from the inside of your water bottles.
Oh, yeah, the paraben. I know, it does concern me a great deal, actually, yeah.
I think that the smoking ruins of what used to be Glasgow will probably concern you more.
What, just now or after? You mean after?
Is Glasgow a smoking ruin at the moment? Blimey, I haven't heard the news, but we're about to. Hey, Chrissy, I wish you all the best, and thanks for that.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Now, wait a minute. I don't like that kind of talk. Now, just stop it. It upsets me.
So, Rwanda again. Ahmed texts, the Rwandan government have stated that they will give us our money back if no refugees end up being sent to their country. With our government being so inept and having brain freezes when it comes to WhatsApp messages, I wouldn't be surprised if we've lost the Rwanda receipt and now can't claim back a penny. The Rwandan government aren't going to give us our money back. What, are you kidding? Not one single solitary penny. Betcha, betcha, betcha. But it was kind of amusing that Therese Coffin was having a major cow because someone was mean to her. The former Deputy Prime Minister, Therese Coffin. She used to be the Deputy Prime Minister. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah, well, More recent incumbents have lowered the bar somewhat. In a Commons debate on Wednesday, Therese Coffin, the Tory MP, criticised Labour's Yvette Cooper for referring to the Kigali government. She told MPs the Shadow Home Secretary can't even get the name of the country right. I mean, that's not a stretch to believe, is it? I mean, Therese Coffin used to be the actual Environment Secretary, and she threw in the towel on regulating the water industry, said she can't stop them pouring sewage into our rivers and seas, despite some people thinking that would be her actual job. I mean, if we want clean water, we'll have to pay hundreds of pounds more in bills, she said, rather ignoring the part that the water industry have taken out £72 billion in dividends for itself, which they could have spent on, I don't know, cleaning up the water. But as that's the job of the Environment Secretary to make that happen, the Environment Secretary, Therese Coffin, said that there was nothing she could do.
Oh, fabulous.
Completely helpless. Anyway, she was furious that some people online took the mick out of her, because it certainly sounded like she didn't know the name of the place that the Rwanda plan is centred on. The capital of Rwanda is Kigali. I mean, I could do a straw poll. Hands up who thinks that former Deputy Prime Minister Therese Coffin doesn't know that Kigali is the capital of Rwanda? And now hands up who think that she does? Well, that's overwhelming. Borderline offensive. Kigali is Rwanda's capital and the seat of the country's central government. Any fool know that. And responding to criticism on social media, wow, so people on social media were mean. I find that hard to believe. Coffey said, referring to a Kigali government was disrespectful. Because she's, you know her, she's all about respect. In a social media post, Coffin said, some keyboard snipers moaning that I criticised the opposition for referring to the Kigali government, not the Rwandan government. I would not call the French government the Paris government, nor the Scottish government the Edinburgh government. Why disrespect Rwanda, she said. I'll sum that up for you. Yeah, but she has referred to Holyrood, Cardiff and Stormont when talking about the Scottish Parliament, the Welsh Senate and the Northern Ireland Assembly. She's also referred to Brussels, referring to the European Union, and she does refer to the Westminster government, which is offensive to the rest of London. Never mind about the rest of the UK. I mean, you know what? I would have given her the benefit of the doubt. I would have assumed that she knew the capital of Rwanda is Kigali. It's the furious denial that's got me unconvinced. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Ealing Mohammed.
Hi. Good evening. It's a pleasure speaking to you as always.
Hey, Mohammed.
Oh, I'm completely and utterly, nothing surprises me anymore with this government. 13 years of complete and utter weak leadership. From David Cameron all the way to Rishi Sunak.
Well, what do you mean by weak? I mean, what is it you're after? A strongman dictator?
David Cameron's mandate was to bring the deficit down. The national audit statistics have said that our national debt has quadrupled since 13 years of Tory leadership. What was the point of austerity?
It went from what was the point of austerity? Funneling vast amounts of money from the poor to the rich. I think completely and utterly one organisation probably beats this corrupt government, and that's probably the Metropolitan Police Service, who's also led by a weak leader in Sir Mark Rowley. Well, what do you want? You keep saying weak, and I know that's a catchphrase of the Labour Party these days. They want to, inveigle that term into your mind as regards Rishi Sunak. But what do you mean by weak?
They're having policies and wasting public money on policies that are never going to go anywhere, i.e. the Rwanda policy.
Right.
But
that doesn't imply weakness to me. That's more
indecisive long-term decision making for the country. Everything that they do is just for short-term gain.
Right. I'll agree with that. Yeah, but see, that doesn't say weak to me. That just says
incompetence.
Doesn't really say incompetence.
In my view,
because that implies if they say incompetence, that implies that they're trying to achieve an outcome that they say that they are. But I don't believe that they are. I mean, they try to say that they're interested in the little people, not leprechauns, and they're concerned about saving public money. And, they fail in that regard, but it's only a failure if you believe what their what their intention was. You believe what they say that their intention was. If you believe that their intention was to funnel vast amounts of cash from us poor dopes who pay taxes to offshore billionaires, then I'd have to say that they're incredibly successful and strong. Mohammed.
Definitely, yeah, I would agree on that point. But what it is, most of their policies is completely naturally delusional. It's never going to get off the ground. So you need to start focusing on bringing the National Health Services waiting list down. You need to start focusing on strong policing structures throughout the whole of the country. They need to start focusing on law and order and making sure that victims of crime are listened to.
All of the things that would normally be in a Tory party manifesto. But these days, they can't go to the country on any of that stuff because they've had 14 years to do it, and it's all been a total failure. So
where's all this money gone, Nick?
Well, it's an excellent idea. I have no idea, Mohammed. It's £1.5 trillion extra in debt that they've saddled the country with, and nobody can really figure out where the money's gone, because it hasn't gone on the NHS, has it?
No, it's not gone on the NHS. It hasn't gone on the borders and policing. It hasn't gone on immigration. Where has it gone? Where is the money? Money can't just disappear. There's got to be an audit trail.
It can really disappear. A couple of buildings full of shiny accountants and lawyers can make any amount just disappear like magic. And it'll be off to a country that exists only as a cloud of mist for tax purposes. Mohammed, I've got to go. Thanks a lot, mate. Stay angry. Anger seems to be the national mood. Or is it anger or is it ennui? Is it sort of like... I think that's more it, isn't it? We don't really get angry here, do we? It's almost as though it's not our thing. I mean, the French, furious about everything all the time, they are. Chucking paving stones at gendarmes 24 hours a day, they are. It's a bit... Jared text, warning, it looks like Trump might be president again. Can you believe it? He might be president again. I mean, just the very idea. And smug, of course, is what a colossal clot that man is. I mean, absolutely everything he says is just the most inane nonsense. He's a giant ninny. He said that a Trump presidency would be good for Britain, as though he can't remember that Trump used to be president and it wasn't good for Britain. What did Britain get out of the last Trump presidency? Did we get a huge trade deal? No. Did he start a trade war with us? Yes. What else did we get? He cancelled a visit because somebody was going to fly a balloon in his image, like a baby. The balloon and him cancelling. And then when he did actually show up, he performed a total eclipse of the Queen. She disappeared behind his stupidly huge coat. What did we get from the last time that Trump was president? Absolutely nothing, just like the American people.
Don't be rude.
Yeah. And the dinglings over there, and there is a lot of them. I mean, it's absolutely frightening if you look at videos of people being interviewed in the street about, Trump. Absolutely scary people. I mean, just frightening. I mean, I think they have a little bit of a problem over there. I don't know what they got in their water, but it could quite possibly be the same as we've got in ours. It's just that we are fearful of bathing in it, and they drink it. But yeah, it's quite possible that the Tangerine Scream is going to be the next leader of the free world, and he ain't going to make the same mistakes that he did last time. have intelligent people in charge of some of the institutions of state. No, he's going to get his yes sir dribbling morons to do it. We are in great danger. But, at least we've got Smug telling us that everything's going to be okay.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
And he's never been wrong about anything.
We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight away by getting rid of the protectionist anti-trade tariffs that the EU imposes. And it would be very good for the British people, and it would provide certainty. And I think once there's certainty, the country will begin to reunite.
You know what he sounds like? Margaret Thatcher. Where there's discord, let there be harmony. He's just it's just a silly cartoon character. I wonder if he knows where he stops and the act begins.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Oh, hello.
0345 6060 973. Rama texts, it's a good thing for Chaz and Kate out of Wills and Whatsit that there isn't a long waiting list for surgery on the NHS at the moment. I'm a bit confused by the press coverage, though, as I thought we weren't supposed to like queue jumpers in this country, says Rama. Well, don't you worry about that. In order to make up for it and make everything better, they'll go to a food bank and hand out a packet of cornflakes. Show they care. Simon says, getting in early again. Now, there are many mysteries in this world. Gravity, why are we here? What should I have for tea? To name but a few. But why does Fishy bounce up and down when he laughs? Is he trying to see the people at the back in order to confirm that they like Tory humour? Says Simon. I think it's a tell. I think he bounces up and down, not when he's laughing, but when he's lying. The more he bounces up and down, like a rubber ball, come bouncing back to me, by Bobby V, I bet. I bet that was Bobby V.
Rock and roll!
Rubber ball. The more he bounces, the more he's, disseminating misinformation. Liar! I mean, Bodger...
The great big greedy nincompoop.
He just ruffles up his hair as a distraction. Smug talks weird.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
They've all got a tell. 0345 6060 973. Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. How are you tonight?
Yes, good, thanks.
Good. One thing that I don't know whether you saw this week was 30p Lee's interview.
Leanderthal,
yeah. He resigned as deputy chair of the Conservative Party to vote against the Rwanda bill.
He's had a makeover, by the way. Have you noticed how much of a makeover he's had? He's got, it looks like a bit of a tan going on there. I don't know where he got that. And he's certainly upped the quality of his suits. He must be making some big money somewhere.
Somewhere like that. But in the end, of course, he didn't vote against the Rwanda bill. And on a TV interview, they asked him, why did you resign if you were going to vote against it? And he said, well, I got to the lobby and there were two Labour MPs laughing at me and taking the mick. So he said, I couldn't. So he bravely abstained.
Right. Well, that's what a tough guy would do in a pinch, Mike. If somebody's laughing at you, then run away.
And then they interviewed Smug about why he'd voted against the amendment.
Yeah.
Against the amendments, and then voted for it. And he claimed that as party loyalty.
I thought that he was voting for it because he didn't think that what he was voting for would work, but he did think that what he wasn't voting for wouldn't work more, or something like that. Something as screwed up and mentally complicated as that. He with each addition to his explanation, he was digging himself in deeper, but he seems to have come to the conclusion that if one simply talks like that, then they can get away with saying anything at all. No one will disagree with one.
No, absolutely. But, you talked about the Sunak thing with the woman where he laughed and walked off.
Yeah.
Did you see round two? Because the longer clip, the longer clip, his PR people actually dragged him back to talk to her again. And he had another go with it. But the point in question to me was that he had two goes with this woman who was complaining about her daughter's treatment in the NHS. Even in round two, the PR people hadn't told him, ask about her daughter. And he had another minute's conversation with this woman and still didn't answer. I mean, we know he doesn't care about the common people, but
No.
haven't the PR people got it in their brains to say, go and ask how her daughter is, it'll look good?
I mean,
He didn't do that on round two.
Yeah, I don't wish him all the best, but I do think if I were him, I would have sacked all of my PR people, all of them. Every single one of them is. I don't know. Maybe they're good at their job, but they're used to working with human beings, as opposed to robots.
I think you might be right on that.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike. 0345 6060 9773. But yeah, never mind about all that, because what we want to do is to prevent a Labour Party taking us back to square one. And they're all parroting that now, like they've all had the email. It's just dismal. They're just pretending now. I mean, maybe it was always like this, we just didn't realise. But maybe we hadn't had the same cast of characters trying to persuade us that up is down for so long, it's given us the opportunity to sit there and contemplate what it is that is happening to us. I have no idea, but the comical way that they repeat, like their cute little catchphrases. I mean, somebody must have come up with that. One of their people, probably a teenager sitting around a desk with other teenagers. The young Conservatives, just spitballing. Oh, I know, back to square one. Yeah, that'll work. But it would only work if, in the mind of somebody, if you had not lived for long enough to have appreciated what life was like before the Conservative Party took over. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, absolutely nothing has been improved by their rule. Name one thing. I mean, I've done this before. I've given over entire shows asking this question and not got a single solitary positive answer. The only way in which that would be a winning slogan, or we better not go back to square one with the Labour Party, is if square one was a terrible place. Square one being, I have to assume, the point at which the Tories took over. This country was a better place when the Tories took over. They've fashioned this catastrophe, this smoking ruin that we see around us in 13 short years. It actually didn't take them that long. It took considerably less time than that. It's just that they've been going around and around this silly roundabout for quite a while now, getting nowhere. I mean, they're still moving. It's just that they're describing a tight circle. It's a road to nowhere. Like Talking Heads, but worse. I just think that they should at least maybe just drop the catchphrase nonsense, because it's just so see-through. I mean, Fishy Sunak will say, we've got to know about square one. And then he'll send out a half a dozen of his members of the clown show out to do their interviews, and every single one of them will keep repeating. They won't just say it once, like it just occurred to them. They'll repeat it over and over and over again. Is anybody buying this? No. I can't believe there's a single solitary person in the country that actually thinks, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, we don't want to go back to square one. Good job they brought that up. Square one. What, when the country only owed £1 trillion, not 2.5 trillion? When the NHS was actually the envy of the world. When you could get a GP appointment when you wanted one, face to face. You remember looking at your GP face to face, don't you? No. No, that's a dim, distant memory. That is. It's when the chemist wasn't running out of your medicine. Is any other country running out of medicines? I don't know whether they are or not. But even if it's not true, I'll say that they aren't, and it will become a fact. I mean, I could be appalled. I could sit at home with my head in my hands, just like weeping and wailing about, the humanity and the future and all this dismal stuff that's going on around us, and stuff in in Eastern Europe and the Middle East and the North Pole and the South Pole and everything in between. But I've decided, for the sake of my own mental health, to be amused. Just as long as it ends soon. One way or the other. Global thermonuclear war or a general election. Select. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I should remind you that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Yeah.
It's out twice a week now. Oh, yes. We have doubled up the work. And we've doubled up the helping as well. If you've got a dilemma and you wish us to solve it, then you must send it to the following address. nickandcarol@global.com. That is NICKANDCAROL @global.com. And prepare to be totally satisfied. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Comes out Fridays and Mondays. It's on Global Player.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello, boys.
Some whack job can say this stuff and get away with it?
0345 6060 973. Lavinia Grace, Bermondsey.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
I am great, mate.
Oh, lovely. It's so lovely to hear your voice.
Is it?
It really is. Yeah, it really is. Anyway.
Well, it's lovely to be lovely.
Oh, thank you, Nick. What I'd like to say is to do with Mr. Trump.
Trump, yes.
Yeah. And I am so very happy at the moment because I honestly believe that he will win. And I'll tell you why he will win, America.
Because
I'll tell you why.
He'll get more dinglings voting for him than the other bloke? Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I tell you the main sort of reason is that everything here chucked at him.
Yeah.
And he's stood there and dealt with it. And actually, can I just say one thing,
What do you
Nick?
mean by dealt with it?
Well, what I'm saying, he's upright. He stands there. He's sort of like an action man. All right? And I'll tell you also what you need to understand. He's a highly complex man. And I can relate to him, Nick. And I feel I can relate to him.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll tell you why I can relate to him.
Yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat, Lavinia Grace. How can you relate to Donald Trump? Please tell me.
Right. I would love to tell you, and I would tell you now, Nick.
Yes, tell me now.
I've had everything sort of chucked at me, and I've dealt with it. Now,
But what's the alternative, though? I mean, you say that as though it's an extraordinary thing. Everybody has had everything thrown at them, and they've all dealt with it.
Some people can, and some people can't. But he's upright. And,
upright? What, you mean he can stand?
He can stand and also deliver. And what I want to say, Nick,
yes.
all right?
And what do you mean by deliver? What do you mean by deliver? In what manner does he deliver? Just curious.
He delivers everything that we think about.
Right.
Like,
well, you're making a lot of sense, Lavinia Grace. He delivers everything that we think about. Right.
Well, what I want to say, Nick, right, he makes me laugh every time I see him, right?
He
and
makes you laugh, really?
Yeah.
And I think that's it in a nutshell. He makes her laugh. If you want to be amused, go to a comedy show. Don't vote for a comedian to be the President of the United States of America or the Prime Minister of this country.
The great big greedy nincompoop.
For instance. Can we have a few fewer comedians in office? Zelensky notwithstanding. I mean, it doesn't seem like a great idea to hire people straight off the telly from an amusement show, does it? I mean, we're going to have Alan Sugar next, Prime Minister Alan Sugar. Ant and Dec, let's split the job in half. Why not? Go the whole hog. I can't bear it, Lavinia Grace. You're making zeros. I'll sum up your call. 0345 6060 973. Chris says, I really do hope Suella Braverman loses her seat at the next election. I noticed that Cruella's local council, Fareham, has acquired a debt, or accrued? He says accrued. It's completely that can't be right. Accrued, perhaps, a debt of £48 million, or £417 per person. But I'm sure that Cruella and her voters will blame Labour. Yes. Yeah. And don't forget about that going back to square one. Don't want to do that. Chris says, I've never known local councils to be so underfunded and in such a mess. Election now, please, he says. Well, please, see? Being polite.
Be polite!
Always. Yeah, well, that's their trick, isn't it? The Tories. And they keep doing it with every institution they get their sticky little hands on. They defund it and then blame that institution for not being able to cope. And they do it again and again and again and again and again. And there's just enough dinglings to buy it. To think, oh yeah, that's right. The local council haven't been able to cope. Could the two possibly be connected? They have been defunded by central government, which then blames them for not being able to afford the things that we, poor dopes who pay taxes, used to rely on. And that as they have taken the money from the councils, it's gone where exactly? I mean, they saved a lot of money from this austerity racket. Where's the money gone that they saved? I mean, they defunded the NHS. That's incontestable. They defunded the police, also incontestable. They defunded the local councils, also incontestable. They flogged off absolutely everything else that we have in this country apart from the air that we breathe. Where did all the money go? Anybody have any idea? Because they didn't spend it on anything that would actually improve our lives. Because if they did, point to it. Tell me what it was. The thing that they spent money on to improve our lives. What was it? I'll be really open and make this an easy question. In 13 years, what did they spend the money on that improved our lives? Because they've saved a lot of it. Huge amounts. By which method they have ruined many people's lives, from lack of care and the early deaths and, it's just a lot of dead people, that's all. Nothing major. But in saving all of that money, it must have gone somewhere because they would have spent it. So where did it go? Any ideas? I bet you don't. I bet there's not one single person in this audience has a clue where any of that money went. But it went somewhere. 0345 6060 973. But I have to keep reminding myself that I'm not I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. And I've decided to be amused. Because what's the alternative? Well, it's this. And I'm not ready for that yet. Not yet. Devon, hello, Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Rose.
Well, I like the Lavinia Grace, but I'm completely opposed to her view about Trump. And it's quite interesting, Nick, because I had an email from a very dear American friend resident in Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cold there right now, isn't it? Iowa. I mean, it was like minus really, it's like minus 30 outside. People are being warned that if you spend more than 5 minutes outside, you're going to get frostbite. That's how cold it was.
My God. Yes,
Yeah.
I did hear that, actually. Yes. Well, she's an absolutely lovely person. She was very much for Bernie Sanders and then Obama,
right?
Who Iowa went with on two terms.
Did they?
And distraught when she tells me that. Yeah, was
Iowa. I would have thought that had been a really Republican state because what's in Iowa apart from potatoes?
Well, they went with Trump, right?
They went with that potato.
Obama twice.
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, it's. And I did want to just mention of my friend. She was absolutely distraught, with that insurrection thing on the 6th of January.
Yeah.
It was as though the heart of her country had been sort of desecrated. It was that feeling. But anyway, the email.
They were just tourists trying to have a nice time. Is now what we're being led to believe by the right-wing press in America. Yeah, they were just fun seekers. That's all.
Oh, I see. Yes. Well, she went, "What is wrong in capitals with Iowans?"
Well, it was only the Republican side. It was only the people who were going to vote Republican anyway who chose Trump, because there isn't really any. Well, there is an alternative, but the alternative isn't likely to win. So I'm sure there's a bit of going with the person who's going to win anyway. You want to be on the winning side.
Yes, right. Yes, maybe. Yes. But anyway, she was making the point that, well, she was very angry, but things seem to have been changing. She said Iowa used to have this nationally renowned school system, and recently the people running the state, religious, have been dumbing down the schools, bringing in their religious private schools, banning books.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of that about. A lot of book banning.
Yeah, it does seem to be, doesn't it?
In fact, I think it was Ohio, or maybe it was Florida, one of those places that brought in this rule about we can't have anything untoward in the books in schools, and all the references to sex must be excised, and no violence or any of that sort of stuff. And somebody said, "Well, I know a book that's absolutely stuffed full of sex and violence, so I demand that you ban it from all schools." It's a little thing called the Bible.
The Bible. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yes. Well, you see, it's about Trump appealing to the uneducated.
Yeah.
And when when I read this in the email, it was clear what she was implying, and it really got me thinking about. It's fascinating to me, this, how the far right can establish a voter base that's going to go on generation after generation, simply because they're easy to manipulate, just by running down education. Basically restricting what's taught. Mm-hmm. And I thought, it's a war on thought, isn't it? It's a war against ideas.
Yeah.
Making sure that children are not taught to think.
Right, which is why they...
inspired. Yeah. Their imaginations aren't inspired, and they're not able to reason and think about things themselves.
Which is why autocrats first go for experts. They go for the literate, exactly. Professors and doctors and people like that. They want to shut all of those people up so that the dingalings only listen to the dear leader.
Yeah, or trivia, or, just go on social media.
Brain gum, yeah.
It's a little bit like that here at the moment, to be honest. There's an awful sort of what we used to call inverted snobbery. Oh, you're not supposed to like anything that demands a lot of thinking, or, deep literature or classical music or anything.
I'll tell you what I tried the other day.
Surface.
Well, yeah, but that's always been the case. I think that's always been the case here. We suspicious of those who try. Right from school, you're a swat if you try hard. It's an insulting thing that we don't praise people for their intelligence. We criticise them for trying too hard. That's always been the case here.
Well, it seems to me it's got a lot worse, to be honest, but it's...
But I tell you a thing that I tried that required vast amounts of intellectual ability and failed at my first try was a jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, I know. You said, yes.
Yeah. I have, in the meantime, actually had an epiphany. And I'm fully on board now. But at the beginning, I having not done one before, my eyes was just sort of roaming over all these colourful little pieces, unable really to figure out how to even begin to do it.
I'd be the same. Yeah.
But actually, no, it's pretty good, actually. It's quite satisfying.
Oh.
Once you get used to it.
Yes.
And you organise yourself into a strategy.
Yes.
The trick, Rose, is to get the bits and fit them together. Now, they should put that on the box, but they don't. I had to work that out for myself.
Tell you that. No. No, it's a very strange thing, isn't it? What one's brain... You know, there are some things that I look at and I just think, no, I know I can't.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe I could in about 3 hours' time.
Right, but I've never come across anything that stumped me.
I don't mean jigsaws, other things.
No, but I've never come across anything that stumped me so completely as a jigsaw puzzle. I mean, I can't draw, but I could draw you a dog, and you would recognise it as a dog. So I could actually start the process with some degree of success. You know, I can't play music, but I could hum you a tune. But this jigsaw thing, for the first day or so I tried it, I just could not get it at all, and it was confounding me. I couldn't believe that, because it's a child's thing. I picked up this jigsaw puzzle in a toy shop for children.
Yeah,
I thought, there's no way I can't do this, but I seemed to have some sort of block on it. And then, then I beat my way through that block, Rose, and now I am a. What's the word for a jigsaw puzzle doer? There must be, because a crossword doer is a cruciverbalist. So there must be some Latinate phrase for a jigsaw puzzler. But anyway,
I had a text from somebody who said that was fascinating about the jigsaws because I've had exactly the same experience, she said.
Oh, yeah?
And, you know, she was with somebody who could put them together, and she just couldn't get anywhere at all. And I thought, it's just like me with mechanical things, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think that it's a unique task that you don't normally do in any other field of life. I mean, looking for bits of a similar colour and shape and pattern that fit together is a pretty unique skill. So I think it's just that my brain thought, I haven't done this before. I'm not playing this game, so I'm checking out.
Oh, yes, it's a lot not unlike, well, the way you've put it there is what we find with music, isn't it? When I've often thought that what it is I put something on and no, nothing's happening. I leave it on, I put it on again, and then at the third time I'm just faffing about, and then suddenly it goes,
you go,
and
ping.
It's as though you've a little dent in the brain. I said, yes, I'm getting it now. You know,
right, like this.
Exactly. Yes, I mean that took me years to get anything from.
Rose, I've got to go, but I want you to be doing the disco dancing all night long to this short clip. There you go.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
This guy is sick. There's something wrong with this guy.
Lucy says, when Bojo claims that another Trump presidency would be a boost for the world, has he factored in Trump's likely views and approach to supporting Ukraine? I thought it was just Smug who was saying that Trump would be great if he got back in. Great for Britain. as like I said, as though Trump hasn't already been president and he was dismal for Britain. These people, I just despair. It's almost as though we're being tested, isn't it? How much can we take? I'm up to my eyeballs with taking. Thank you, sir. May I have another? But Boris Johnson has said it as well. The great big greedy nincompoop. Bodger Johnson says another Trump presidency would be a big win for the world. What is he talking about? There's only two things that I can think of. Either he's lost his mind, or Boris Johnson is angling for a job on American right-wing television. Because that's where the money is. I mean, if you're on TV in this country spouting your right-wing views, then you may get £1,000 a show, something like that. If you do it on American TV, and we are in the money. Tens of millions of dollars. I bet that's what this is. I mean, why would he say it otherwise? Because we know what Boris Johnson thinks of Donald Trump.
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
I mean, if anybody has a tape of Boris Johnson saying...
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
Then they should keep it to themselves, because it might not ingratiate Boris Johnson with American right-wing media.
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
Please don't repeat it over and over again. He used to be the Prime Minister of this country. Can you believe that?
No.
Well, mind you, so did Liz Truss.
Absolutely.
When you think about our brief recent history, it's really quite extraordinary that we're all still alive. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Woolwich Richard.
Woolwich?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Nick, hello. Hi, Nick. Nice to chat, Nick. Nice to connect.
Is that what we're doing? Are we connecting?
Yeah, we're connecting.
Right.
Well, actually, whilst I was holding, I just Googled what skills you need to be a good jigsaw puzzle, and it says attention to detail.
Right.
So do you think, because you don't really have attention to detail, do you? Because given your research background.
No, I don't do detail. I'm not a details person.
So maybe that's why you're not doing good at jigsaws. I don't know.
Well, no, I maintain that I couldn't do it initially. It just seemed like a wall I could not get beyond. Like my eyes were just swimming in this sea of patterned colour and shapes, and I couldn't get a handle on any of it. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to let this child's toy beat me. I am going to master it. And I don't know about master it, but I'm about halfway to getting it done. So, yeah, I've got it now. But it was just because I do crosswords and, with a certain degree of success. I don't always get the thing done, but, I'm okay with that. Verbal skills, but there's nothing verbal about a jigsaw puzzle at all. So it's completely unlike anything else I do. Because I don't, I'm not an artist or anything visual really. I don't do any of that stuff. So it's just unlocking a different part of my brain.
Yeah, it's the visual stuff. Yeah, I like jigsaws, and when I used to do them, my mother used to get really cross, bless her, and she sort of used to throw the jigsaw all over the place and get really tantrum when I was doing them. It's a really strange situation. But they do, you're right, they take a lot of visual dexterity and that kind of stuff.
And a lot of space as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of space.
There's just so much space. How do people have enough space to unload 1,000 pieces? Because I've got a fairly big table and it's almost completely taken up by 500 pieces. Because I wanted a round jigsaw puzzle because I've got a round table. So I thought, I know it'll fit, and the corners won't fall off the end. But it almost completely takes up the entire table. That's just 500 pieces, so double that. Where do people put it?
Well, the serious jigsaw sort of puzzlers, they actually have these kind of roll-up mats. So they actually roll the jigsaw up at the end of when they finish.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
How do they do that? Doesn't it all come apart?
No, it's really clever. It's a clever little gimmick out there that others might know about, but where you just kind of roll the jigsaw up. It's really quite clever.
Well, there's equipment involved. I had no idea.
There you go. You see, there's a lot of kind of real geeks out there, jigsaw geeks.
I bet.
But Nick, I just quickly, because I know your time is precious. I just want to ask you, what do you think?
Not really. I've got loads of it.
Not really.
Unless you know something I don't.
Maybe Jonathan's waiting. But what do you think of dry January?
I'm not even remotely interested. Are you kidding me? There's absolutely the worst month in the year to go sober, with the possible exception of February. Isn't it? Because you're stuck indoors because it's miserable outside, and you've just taken the Christmas decorations down. Although, full disclosure, I haven't. They're still up. I heard that the Queen left her Christmas decorations up till February the 5th or the 7th, one of the two. So I thought, well, you know what? Why not? Because January is such a miserable month. So is February. All the lights gone, and You know, the joy of Christmas and, you know, the decorations and all of that stuff. And what have you got? It's still dark outside. It's still gloomy. It's still miserable. It's raining. It's cold. And you're just staring at bare walls now. So I don't really understand the point of pulling them all down. Why? Why do that?
Well, oddly enough, I tried it for the first time, and I lasted 3 weeks. So tonight I'm having a little nice Shiraz.
Yeah.
And
is that her name?
Yeah. She's Australian as well. But the reason why I switched tonight is, well, so the reason why I wanted to give up booze is actually because I wanted to see if it did anything for my body mass index, because I'm quite into that kind of thing.
Not in 3 weeks, it won't. Surely not.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, but there's a special machine in my gym that sort of really beautiful. It tests everything, including the metabolic age and all that kind of stuff.
How does it do that?
And, well, you know, you step on it barefoot and shirtless, you know, and it does this amazing, you know, technological thing, and it calculates stuff that bathroom scales can't. Beyond that, right. But the thing that shocked me is that in the space of 3 weeks of not taking any drink, I don't drink a lot, but when I do, in the space of 3 weeks, my BMI went up, my weight went up, and my metabolic age went up by 5 years.
Wow, that's a lesson. Pay attention to that machine.
Booze.
Have more of it.
So I was thinking, no, I may as well just sort of sit here.
Yeah. And
listen to my favourite weekly show, and be more healthy and
get through a couple or 3 bottles of wine a night. Why not?
Yeah,
but not to the point, Richard, where you have to watch television by covering one eye because you're seeing double. Don't go that far.
Oh, I get it. But can I just say one thing, Nick? Listening to your show sober is quite an experience.
Well, I should try doing it drunk. That would be an experience.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Okay, my glamorous assistant has said that a jigsaw puzzler is a dissectologist. I don't know, does that sound right? I'm not dissecting things, I'm putting them back together again. They have been dissected already for my convenience. Although how they dissect them in the first place, I have absolutely no idea. Don't tell me. And there's a roll-up jigsaw mat that I have details of, which is an extraordinary looking thing. It's like a felt mat with a tube that you put on the mat, on the jigsaw puzzle, and then you roll it up around the tube. And people love it. I'll think about it. I mean, I get that you would be able to... Well, I don't actually get it, but I'm willing to believe that you could roll up the part of a jigsaw that you are doing, but what about all the bits? I mean, what, are you going to put them back in the box? Then you've got to put them back on the table and turn them the right way up. No, that's not going to work. It's a no from me. 0345 6060 973. Oldbury, Ranjit.
Nick, you okay?
Yes, good, thanks.
Yeah, I think, what's her name? This Grace woman, yeah?
Who?
That woman that she wound you up, didn't her? She was saying that Donald Trump.
Yes. That one.
Right, now, you know the question you've been asking, what the Tories have done, which is great.
Oh, yes.
I may have the answer.
Go on.
They've created more dinglings than ever, and she was a good example of it tonight, I'm afraid. Are you going to agree with me on that one?
They are stamping those dinglings out the back in a dingling factory. Yeah, there's no end to them. That's right.
That's one thing that they've done, yeah. You know, the thing is, Nick, right, you know, when Donald Trump used to hold up his graphs, right, he used to say, oh, I'm the best at this, I'm the best at that. Now, if Rishi Sunak really wants to put spin on it, yeah, You know, he could have asked that woman today, have you got a business, instead of asking about her daughter. Right? Okay.
That was just toe-curlingly embarrassing. I mean, he has got to stop being... I would encourage him to keep doing it. But if I were him and I was interested in his future, I would fire every single person around him and start again.
I agree with that part, yeah. But, you know, he could turn around, if he wants to put spin on it, right, he could turn around and say, right, in our country, since the Tories have taken over, we've got over 7 million people waiting to have an audience with their doctor.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And doing it that way, right? And these dinglings would believe it. You know, they'd say it's fantastic. You know, we've created jobs in jeopardy, right? We've just put 3,000 people, right, in Wales who are going to have an audience with the Department of Work and Pensions. You know what I mean? That's the kind of things that these dinglings believe, right? I mean, they've stopped talking about the foreigners now, right? They've stopped talking about everybody. Well,
the foreigners, I think that's the only thing that they've got left, is bellyaching about Rwanda and how activist lefty Tory MPs are stopping them from enacting this super policy.
Did you see how stupid that 30p Lee was, right? Smug, yeah? I mean, smug, right? If I was his child or his sibling, right, I'd be embarrassed to know him.
Yeah. I know I would be, yeah. I'd be embarrassed to be dressed up like that, but never mind.
Yeah. So he could get his money back now, you know, because all that private education he had done hasn't really benefited him at all, has it? Right? It just shows... Yeah.
I wonder if it does come with a money-back guarantee. Probably not. No, you get what you get.
And then, you know, like what's happening in America now, that's just... I think he's beyond help now. I mean, the only thing that Biden can do really is say, listen, I'm sorry, mate, but I'm going to give up. But I've heard that the First Lady loves to be the First Lady, but she ain't going to be the First Lady for much longer, the way Trump's railroading ahead at the moment.
Well, I don't know about railroading. I mean, let's not get carried away. It's still almost a year out. It's going to be in November, and there isn't that much between them. And people have written off Joe Biden's chances before, and look what happened.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people were talking about this now, right, about, you know, Donald Trump being the criminal or whatever and being the president in jail, right? Right, he's going to be,
accurately described as such.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, when he comes over here, we're supposed to respect the office of the president.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we'll respect the office when he does. How does that sound?
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you. It just shows how ludicrous the world has gone now, right? That you're going to elect a jailbird as a president.
This is a silly planet now. I think that we've crossed the line.
I mean, the line that crossed for me this week, and it really has made me sad, not angry, right? And, you know, I know you haven't spoken about that little boy, the 2-year-old that died. With by his dad. His dad had a heart attack in Great Yarmouth, right? We're living in the first world, Nick.
Well,
right?
Third world things keep happening to us, yeah.
That is absolutely horrible. That poor boy, clinging on for life, right? And the bit that made me cry yesterday, right, was when they said he was found holding on to his dad's leg.
All right.
Right. It's terrible.
It is.
Rishi Sunak should be sorry about that.
Well, yeah, he's sorry about that, just like he's sorry about everything else. All right. Thanks a lot, Ranjit. Gotta go. 0345 6060 973. Lex texts, the last catastrophic storm warning blew a leaf off my flat roof. Well, they say that there is a big storm coming in, but they've been saying that for as long as I can remember now. I mean, it's just been one blooming thing after the next. So they said it's coming in on, when is it, Saturday, Sunday? Well, it looks like it's going to get significantly warmer. And I'm just looking at the centre of London here, and the winds on Saturday are going to be 6 miles an hour, so that ain't no storm. And the winds on Sunday are going to be 9 miles an hour, so that ain't no storm neither. Monday is 8 miles an hour wind. and 10 mile an hour on Tuesday. So it looks like we're going to completely escape. Oh, no, wait, I'm looking at the wrong week. Stupid moron. Oh, OK. Yeah, ooh, blimey. No, as long as we can get through this coming week, the one after, that looks OK. But on Sunday, there are warnings issued.
Warning!
It's going to, in central London, it's going to be 58 mile an hour winds. That is, which means that if you're on the coasts, well, batten down the hatches. Keep a hand on your flat hat. Oh, it's going to be like 3 days in a row. Let me see what Wednesday's like. Still pretty breezy. So there's a storm coming in, and it's called Isha, or I've got no idea. Who comes up with this stuff? 0345 6060 973. Let me see now. Erith. Steve.
Hello, Nick.
Steve.
I've just got a little bit of information for you.
Oh, yes.
You know, when you say about a shower, calling, it comes from the medieval things. When they used to say out the window, when they used to use buckets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so a shower is a shower of... I can't say the word.
Yeah, oh. Well, that does make sense.
Yeah, I thought you'd be interested in that.
What an absolute shower. That puts a whole new thing on it.
Could I offer you... You may already know about jigsaws.
Yes.
My mum told us when we was little... start with the corner pieces,
right,
and the edges, and work inward.
Well, the problem is, Steve, the jigsaw that I selected is round.
Oh, that totally defeats what I just said.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Steve. A shower, eh? That does make sense. But I wish I didn't know that, because that rather puts a different slant on it, doesn't it? Oh. Let's see now. Winchester. Hello, Simon.
Hello.
Simon.
In sunny Winchester, where we have the Prime Minister walking the streets laughing at poor ladies.
Laughing in their faces. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, what to do with the puzzle when you finished it?
Pardon?
The puzzle.
Yes.
Jigsaw puzzle.
What we're going to do... Oh, that's a good question. What are you going to do when you've finished it? Take a picture of it? And then put it back in the box, I suppose.
No. Puzzle glue.
Puzzle glue.
Sealer. Yeah, you get special glue, you pour it all over the puzzle, wait for it to dry, and then you can hang it up like a picture.
Yeah, no. It's not a picture I want on my wall.
Yeah. Okay. You have to do it again then. But I want to have a little word about Trump.
Yeah.
And before I start, I would just like to also refer to Lavinia Grace.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mutual feeling, isn't it? He loves the poorly educated. I mean, this man is the most dangerous man on the planet. But as long as he makes you laugh, that's all good.
Yeah. That's an annoying thing about Donald Trump, is that he seems to be an absolutely horrible person from the top of his, whatever that thing is that floats above his pate, to his finely made shoes. And yet he has the ability to make you laugh without actually intending to. See, that's the thing. He isn't funny, as in he could not tell you a joke. He can insult people, and we react to that with laughter, but that doesn't make him a funny person, and yet he is amusing, frighteningly so.
At him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's... Sometimes it's at him, and sometimes it's sort of... It's not even with, alongside. I don't know. It's very weird, the thing that he's got going.
He talks like a child. I mean,
Yes.
he's supposed to be the leader of the free. Anyway, look. So there's two things I want to say. And it basically comes down to spin and propaganda. Now, I'm not one for conspiracy theories,
but
I'm wondering if the left-wing or middle ground news broadcasters in America have all had a little word with each other, knowing that the stakes are so high. to ram this narrative home that he's neck and neck, he's going to win, to force the people that would be apathetic to actually get their backsides out and vote. I just, if I was going to opt to believe in any conspiracy theory, I would say that was plausible.
Right.
Because it is existential at the end of the day, and I'm sure that all their look at the influence Murdoch has. I'm sure they're all capable of talking to each other. But this business about to sort of add weight to that, as we know, he got 51% of the Iowa vote. Now that sounds great if you're looking at raw numbers, but when you take in details to that equation, now there are 2.5 million registered Republican voters in Iowa. Now I know the weather was bad,
Terrible.
so you can factor that in slightly.
Yeah.
But when you look over here at, as you say, like for example Brexit, if you were pro-Brexit, you were going to move hell or high water to get out and make that vote.
Yeah.
If you weren't, then you could be.
You weren't that bothered. You weren't a single issue obsessive, which is one of the reasons why Brexit won. I mean, of course, they cheated their faces off and they spent way more money than they legally were entitled to do, and they had help from the Russians and et cetera and so on. I mean, the entire thing was crooked from start to finish. But
you were going to go out and vote.
Right. If you were if you were pro-Brexit, then you were 100% likely to go and vote. If you weren't, you had other things on your mind. You weren't obsessing about leaving Europe because you didn't think it was going to do you any favours.
Exactly. So if Trump is your king, you need, for some reason, you feel in your life that you need to get this man power to save
They've
your
joined a cult, and so it doesn't matter what the weather is like outside, or if they lose their shoes and they have to walk across broken glass, they're going to go and vote for Donald Trump.
Right.
But the other side isn't that motivated.
No, but you think 2.5 million registered Republican voters, right? 100,000 went out to vote, and 51% of those for the man who now owns the Republican Party.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden doesn't seem like such a shoo-in.
No. But compare him to the other people who are in the race, as it's described. He actually is, because the others aren't. There wasn't one other person who got 49%. If that was the case, then you might have something there, Simon. But it was split. But anyway, I just noted I'm way past the break, so I've got to go. But thanks for that.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Yeah! Dude!
Sarah texts, I was just listening to your weather forecast at the beginning of the show with regard to train disruption, and you beat me to it. I was thinking, disruption? That makes a change for Southwest trains. Sarah says she was thinking sarcastically. And then I said the very same thing. Like a mind reader. I am reading your mind right now, Sarah. And furthermore, I can see you. Joe, that wasn't creepy at all, was it? Joanne texts, can you tell me where is square one as per Fishy Sunak's repeated mantra? Yes, square one was when Gordon Brown was running the country, the last serious person to do so. And everything looked considerably finer then than it does now. I just think that's such a losing catchphrase that they keep coming out with. We can't go back to square one with Labour. Yeah. I mean, it's just dismally awful. Have they not seen the reaction to that? They must have done, because they're all out there saying it now. They've all got the memo. You got to say, we're going back, can't go back to square one. You got to fit it into pretty much every sentence you give if you get interviewed on the radio or the TV. And they're all coming out with it now. I mean, it's comical. They are so bad at this, it's just staggering. By bad at this, what I mean is the game of being a politician. I'm not talking about doing good for the country. They're abysmal for that. But, let's assume that they're not trying to do good for the country, because if that is their actual intention, then they're worse than I thought. No, just the game of being in politics. Terrible at it. I mean, Tichy is so awful at his job, it just astounds me that he continues to want to do it. And the only explanation I can find is that he's trying to ingratiate himself in his father-in-law's good books. I've got no other explanation. I mean, he doesn't enjoy the job, can't do. If you're that bad at doing something, you can't enjoy doing it. I don't believe it. 0345 6060 973. Edinburgh. Martin.
Oh, hi, Nick. I'm very much with your last caller, well, not last caller, but one of your earlier callers about the Trump presidency. I'm quite optimistic about the chances of Trump winning in 2024. And what I like about him is he's willing to stand up and speak truth to power and really stand against the loony left. And I think that's what's so endearing about him. You look at America at the moment, and the left have really been fighting a crusade against equal rights for Asians. They've pioneered these discriminatory policies, and due to Donald Trump's presidency, in June of last year, Asians finally received equal rights because of the Supreme Court ruling. So I think that's the kind of policy that, a lot of Americans get behind.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Perhaps you do. 0345 6060 973. Brett texts, he's not doing it for the money, he's doing it for bragging rights. You were talking about Titch. Well, if he wasn't doing it for the money, then he'd give up the money, wouldn't he? Because the money don't mean nothing to him. I mean, he could, if he really wasn't doing it for the money, then he could do this big performance about giving it away to charity. Now, did I miss the news? Did he do that? Is he claiming all of his expenses? I betcha he is. James texts, inflation rate for December was announced this week and it increased to 4%. Prices are still rising, but even faster, says James. The other thing that they keep trotting out is that they have halved inflation. No, they haven't.
No.
No. They said that inflation was 11% when we took over. Well, who's the we here? Because if they're talking about the Conservative Party, then they're lying about that. Inflation was 11%. And it's now 4, something like that. No, I got that the wrong way around. He says that when they took over, inflation was 11%. It wasn't. When the Tories took over, it was 4, as it is now. So he didn't have any effect on inflation, but even if he did, he has only brought it down from where the Tory party put it up to. Because if he can claim the ability to bring inflation down, which is what he's doing, then he surely has some responsibility for when inflation goes up. Because the two must go hand in hand. If he can bring it down, then he must be also responsible for it going up, or at least staying up. Because if he could have brought it down before, then why didn't he? Why does he keep us waiting? All the misery that we've had to go through. The shock and stunned amazement when we see what the food shop is at the supermarket. I mean, why hasn't he protected us from that? If he's such a genius, he can bring inflation down. But they keep saying that. Inflation was 11% when we took over. I don't know who the we is he's talking about. Maybe him personally. As though he had no part in the government previous to him being Prime Minister. I believe he used to do a relatively unimportant job called the Chancellor of the Exchequer, as in the money man. But they assume that you don't know that. This is the annoying thing, really. I mean, the assumption is that we are so stupid that A, we don't know that what they're telling us is wrong, and B, that we can't look up what they're telling us is wrong. I mean, we've got the internet, for crying out loud. It'll take you 2 seconds to find out what the inflation rate was when the Conservative Party took over, and it was about 4%. Him claiming he halved it, well, I mean, that's for the fairies, that is.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
Words, more words.
Congratulations to that darts player chap, but I think we're kidding ourselves if we are inviting us to believe that darts is a sport. It's not a sport, it's a pastime. If darts is a sport, then doing a jigsaw puzzle is a sport. Playing chess is a sport. I mean, gardening is more of a sport. At least it's physical. Darts is not a sport, it's a pastime. Archie texts, Sunak is doing the job because he was given it. He wasn't voted in by the public. Well, that is absolutely true. Yeah, and the people that voted him in actually preferred Liz Truss.
Absolutely.
So what does that tell you? 0345 6060 973. Heston, Isaac.
Hello, Nick.
Isaac.
How are you?
Great, mate.
Great. Okay. Yeah. You asked earlier where all the money's gone. Well,
yes.
I'll keep it very quick and brief and summarise. This is just a drop in the ocean. It's our utilities. Now, let's just take water, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
By the way, just before you get into it, Isaac, the water in my taps came out brown the other day.
Disgusting.
Brown. If there's one colour I don't want to see in my water, it's brown.
Oh, no. God. Yeah. Well, this is why I spend a lot of money on bottled water, you know, because... but the thing with bottled water, though, is it comes in plastic, and they do say that it leaks bits of... don't ask me what the scientific terminology is, but it leaks bits of plastic molecules, and if you put that in a fish tank, a fish swim upside down.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've got no idea whether that's true, but even if it isn't, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well. Boil the water. That's your other alternative. But anyway,
I don't think that works. I mean, it might work with germs, but not with bits of plastic. They'll probably just congeal. You'd be able
I know what you mean.
Be able to make your own child's toy out of each fresh, delicious glass.
Right. But anyway, the cost of our water over the last 30 years, water company debt has increased from 0 to 60.3 billion in the last 30 years. What?
And they've awarded themselves about £72 billion worth of dividends and bonuses for excellence in being them.
That's right, yeah. I mean, what does it say here? They've paid, water companies have paid close to 53.1 billion as shareholder dividends.
Yeah, I think it's more than that. I think it's 70. They borrowed about 55 billion, and they've given themselves about 70 billion, which means all of the money that they borrowed on the assets that we gave them, they've given to themselves, plus about 20 billion that we, poor dopes who pay taxes, have paid on our bills.
It says here that 53 billion, which I quoted, is more than 83.7 billion in today's prices. So, and then one other final quick thing is that the English water companies, and it is the English water companies.
Yes.
Let's just talk about Thames Water, because as I'm in the London region,
right.
What stakeholder companies include governments of Kuwait and Canadian pension funds.
Yeah.
Now, what I've done is I spoke to I've got a cousin of mine in Canada, first cousin, right? And I explained the situation to him, and I joked to him, right? We want our UK water back. And then he replied to me, "Sorry, cuz, we ain't giving it back."
Yeah. We could buy it back at vast expense, but it's gone.
Absolutely, yeah. And what I'm going to do as well in time, because I've got family, across North America, extended family, and in Canada, USA. I'm going to ask if any of my first cousins have pension funds with some of these Canadian pension companies, you know what I mean? So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
And
see how much of our money you can get back, Isaac. Every little counts.
And if they will benefit, if they don't benefit as Canadian pension holders, then where's all the money going to? Your shareholders? Get my drift?
I'm sure the pension holders will benefit greatly, as they have done from our trains. Our trains are owned by foreign investment companies and foreign governments, states. We are actually subsidising the train system in other countries. We are such mugs in this country. Keep in mind, we're the only nation on earth that has ever sold all of its water. Just us. Only us. I mean, what a dumb idea is that? Absolutely staggering, really, that we allowed it to happen. But, that's just the British way. We just shrug our shoulders and go, oh, well, never mind. Mustn't grumble. And that attitude has got us to where we are today. Isaac, thanks a lot, mate. See what small change you can get from your Canadian chums. Appreciate it. Put it in a pot. 0345 6060 973. James text, and I did read out the first part of this. I didn't realise it was quite such a long message. There's more to it. He says, the inflation rate for December was announced this week and increased to 4%. Prices are still rising, but even faster. I didn't hear any government announcements taking responsibility for that. They only seem responsible for inflation when it's falling. Right, that's what I was saying. Having not read ahead, I should have read ahead. Then he would have said it for me. He says, our financially illiterate PM, Fishy Sunak, ignorantly describes inflation as taxation, but only when it's falling. In fact, it's the rate of change in prices, and even we peasants know that. OK, well, I've got to bring you up on that, James. He is not financially illiterate. Doing the financial finagling is what he used to do for a living. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and he knows precisely how wrong it is, the things that he says. He's not ignorant. It's worse than that. He says, using Fish's distorted logic, it follows that the government put our taxes up in December. They haven't mentioned that either. Call out these fraudsters. I can't tolerate these endless demonstrations of integrity, professionalism and accountability from this failing government. Help, we're going down faster than Fish's popularity. Well, that's sunk as low as it can go. It ain't going down at all. It's hit rock bottom, and it's staying there like a lead weight. Yeah, that's the thing is, it's if they just didn't know that inflation falling doesn't mean that you have more money in your pocket. If they didn't know that that was a stupid thing to say, then that would be one thing. But that they know that that's wrong, and they say it anyway, thinking that we're too stupid to figure it out, I mean, that's just annoying, isn't it? I mean, that's insulting. That is. That inflation falls does not mean to say that prices are going down. They're still going up, just slower than they used to, but from a higher base. And that they think that we're too dumb to figure that out? I mean, that's just irritating, isn't it? I mean, are they in the business of irritating us now? Well, they've tried everything else. It's worth a go. Alex says, have you seen the customers beating the chatbot AI systems? Some guy tricked one into selling him a brand new Chevrolet for $1. One guy got the DPD chatbot to write a poem about how much better other delivery companies are. No, I have not. I have not seen any of the above. A poem, you say?
Boring.
It's a no from me. York. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Nick. How are you tonight?
I am great, mate.
That's good. Jigsaws.
Yes.
That chap earlier was right. If you get the edges done, then you're halfway there.
Well, I don't know that that's true.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not sure that that's correct.
Right, I think it is.
Because you thinking it is, Jan, doesn't make it so. I started on one edge and then I moved towards the middle rather than getting all the edges in, and that could be the route to success.
If you sort out all your straight edge pieces first, then, you know.
Yeah. But what if you're doing a circular one?
Well, they'll have a straight edge, won't they?
If it's a circle, Jan?
Yeah, they'll have a straight edge.
On a circle?
Yeah, because they're small, aren't they? They'll have to have a straight edge if they're on the edge.
I suppose that is logical, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But anyway, I rang up to tell you what I do with mine.
What I find extraordinary, just before you entertain us with your little tale there, Jan, what I find extraordinary is you pour them out of the box and it takes up virtually the entire table, all of these little bits, and then you start to fashion it together and you get the edges done and you think, there's no way all of these pieces are fitting in that tiny area.
But they will.
Well, I imagine so, unless I've got all the ones in my jigsaw plus some extras just to make it more difficult.
No, they'll fit, don't you worry.
All right.
But what I do with mine, I do them on a piece of hardboard.
Yes.
And then I can slide it under the sofa.
Well, you should see one of these rolling things that I just looked up on the World Wide Web. That's a
I did
miracle.
try one of those
Oh, yeah.
ages ago.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know whether it was the way I was doing it, but it didn't seem to work for me.
Right.
So
Did it come with a tube?
Yeah, it did. But
Because that would be too annoying, wouldn't it? You got all the bits stuck together, or around the outside, and then you put it in a tube, and it disassembles itself.
And then you open it up again, and half of it's off the thing. You know.
Catastrophe.
So I stick to my piece of hardboard.
Yeah.
Then you can slide it under the sofa and
But
get it out the way.
how big is this piece of hardboard, though? Because you've got all the bits.
Oh, well, I've got two pieces. One for the jigsaw I'm doing, and one from the bits.
One for the bits, right. Because you don't want to put the bits back in the box, because then you've got to go through the whole problem of turning them all up the right way again. And
that's another thing. You want to sort your pieces out, because they don't all have the same number of, I don't know what they call them.
Nodules.
Sticky, nodules. Do they? Some have two, some have three.
I know. Some look really weird.
You want to sort them out.
Uh-huh.
And then
Get a pair of scissors, cut all the nodules off, and then they fit together better.
No.
I think you'll find that's right.
But as you say, they do take up a lot of room, and if you have to have it on your table all the time,
Yeah.
where
are you going to eat? Exactly.
Exactly.
So, what do you do with the things when you've completed? Assuming that you have actually ever completed one, what do you do with it?
Yeah. Well, as you said before, I take a photo of it.
Yeah, to prove that you can.
Yeah, and I put it on my computer, and I've got a whole list of ones I've done, you know. And then you put it in the box.
Put it back in the box. Yeah, put
ready
it away.
for the next time.
I guess so, because it doesn't really. I mean, just because you've done it once, it's not like a book. You read it again, and it's the same thing. It's different, isn't it?
Well,
kind of.
If you don't do it for a long time, you'll have forgotten, you know, won't you? But,
I'm not sure that's true. No, you don't forget, because the picture's right there on the box.
Well, it is, yeah, you're right. Anyway, what is your picture of? What did you get?
Well, I got the only one that was sort of remotely unchildish, because I did buy it in a toy shop, so it was for kids. And the only one that was remotely unchildish was one of butterflies. Oh,
lovely.
Not butterflies, actually. I got that wrong. Moths. They were moths.
Well, yeah, that's nice, yeah. Lovely. But anyway, you say the 500-piece one?
Yeah.
Well, the next one is 1,000.
Well, I know, but I'm not sure. I'd have to buy a bigger house.
No, you won't. Get a piece of hardboard, about 3 foot by 2.
Oh, that's not big enough.
That'll fit a 1,000-piece jigsaw.
Nonsense. That's nowhere near big enough.
It is. It is.
Well, if you say so.
Yeah. I mean, I've just done one recently, and...
No, I'm not talking about it being big enough for the completed puzzle. I'm talking about all the bits. Where do all the bits go?
I've got another piece of cardboard.
For 2 by 3 foot?
Yeah.
And you can fit 1,000 pieces on it?
Yeah, you put them close together, you know.
I think you need a bit of room to move them about a bit, don't you?
Well, then get an extra piece of hardboard then.
Oh, how many pieces of hardboard does this sport require?
Well, that'll be scream. But you can hide them under your sofa.
I had no idea you had to buy equipment.
Well, yes, I'm afraid you do.
All right, well, leave it with me and I'll have a full report on your desk first thing in the morning, all right?
Lovely.
I'll chop it up into tiny bits and you can put it together yourself. Thanks a lot, Jan.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
And remember, darling, I don't work before 10 in the morning and never after 4:30 in the afternoon.
Those are the rules. Mark texts, I caught last week's show on Catch Up, and I think you're onto something with podium or podia or lecterns. I was talking about the various lecterns that the dear leaders had. You know, the
great big greedy nincompoop.
He had a wide one to hide his frame behind, and the trust bot had a twisted one.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, it fits. They all had their own one. And Titchy who? Titchy suit size. He had a very, very thin one, skinny one, barely there. Anyway, Mark says, I caught last week's show on Catch Up, and I think you're onto something with the podiums. I was waiting on Catch Up for someone to mention the scandal hit former White House spokesperson for Donald Trump, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. The Arkansas governor's $19,000 lectern remains out of sight but not out of mind, with an audit underway. The news reported that she claimed it on expenses and then tried to hide the price tag from the public. It's never been used as a result. Why do the right-wing political class like expensive lecterns so much? I don't know. It gives a substance to whatever airy-fairy nonsense it is that they're saying, I suppose. And here's the story. He's completely correct in every respect. Little Rock, Arkansas, which sounds like somewhere I made up, but is a real place. From targeting Chinese-owned farmland to banning gender-neutral terms like pregnant people from state documents, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she's the governor of Arkansas. Good grief. I mean, come on, Arkansas. I mean, you know, get with it. The former White House press secretary, known for scaling back regular press briefings in Washington, has fielded questions from behind a lectern at the state capitol. But it's the lectern that she's not using, a $19,000 purchase, that's led to an audit and claims that her office illegally altered public records. And that remains a problem for the first-term governor. So she bought it, apparently claimed it on expenses, a $19,000 lectern, and then because it was so embarrassing how much it cost, she's never used it. And is now complaining that, lefties want to make a big deal out of it. Yeah, just pay her the money and you should shut up. All you little people. Chris texts, I heard the new Rolling Stones album last night. Blimey, you're a bit slow on the uptake there, Chris. I heard the new Rolling Stones album last night on your recommendation. It's fantastic, says Chris. The tracks featuring Macca and Lady Gaga are superb. It's got punk, blues, and rock and roll.
Rock and roll!
It does, and gospel. It's got the lot. It's one of my favourite albums of last year, absolutely no question. It's just great. Kieran.
Good evening, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good. What, mate? The only reason I'm calling is because you said something about 15 minutes ago, and I clapped my hands. I was like, you know what? You are so right. When you said darts is not a sport.
Darts is not a sport. It's a pastime.
Do you know what? I have great respect for darts players because, the thing is, I can't throw a dart for toffee, so I will get absolutely roasted.
Well, the reason that you can't, Kieran, is that you haven't wasted your life in a dingy room throwing spears at a piece of cork.
Honestly, and that is it. And the thing is, I was saying to your researcher, the fact that you can be standing in a pub with a pint of beer, you got a beer gut hanging over your jeans. And you're as good at throwing arrows towards a beer cork as you rightly say. It's like a sport. And then your researcher was trying to convince me that chess is a sport. I love chess. I think chess is a beautiful game. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I love playing chess.
But it's not it's not a sport though. It's a pastime.
It's a pastime. But then your research said apparently you can burn like 10,000 calories playing a game of chess. And I was just like,
only if you're running while you do it.
But at the same time, Nick, I did say to your researcher though, and maybe I was thinking way too much into this. Is only thing I will agree with him on is that with professional chess players, I've never seen overweight or fat professional chess player.
Well, that is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and can I please say one more thing?
Okay, but they're mostly Russian though, aren't they? And I don't know. Do you see a lot of fat Russians?
No, not really, because like they just love to drink their vodka, so obviously that keeps them slim. So.
Is that right? It's the healthy way to start the day.
Healthy way to start the day. And like one more thing about our beloved Tories, and it's just like, you know what, the fact that they're saying that like Jeremy Hunt is obviously planning like this tax cut and everything like that.
Yeah.
And obviously they're going to have this supposed election towards the end of the year. Does my man think that people in this country are that thick and that stupid that after 14 years of being battered, everything crumbling, that literally just a few quid back in your pocket and you're going to vote Tories back in?
It's worse than that, Kieran. People won't have a few quid back in their pocket because what the government will have done is take £10 off you and then given you £2 back and claim that you're up on the deal. What they're doing is They and I haven't seen the details of what it is that is going to be in the next budget, but I will guess and prove me wrong. What they're going to do is give tax cuts for the rich, and then, if the Labour Party come in, dare them to put those taxes back up again, and then they'll say, well, you know, what they're doing is it's the politics of envy, and they're taxing the wealth creators, and blah blah blah. But they'll get the tax cuts in for themselves, is what I'm saying, and then lay landmines around the issue for the Labour Party to trip over.
And really and truly, obviously, that's what we are. Like, England, for some reason, the thing about this country that really does my head in, Nick, is the fact that we just see these, as you said, like your Jacob Rees-Moggs like type of guys, and I love it. And I love it when you do your thing when you go, literally like that, because I do literally envision someone as well, like what's my man's name, the head of the Conservative 1922 committee? What's his name?
Are you talking about the chap who was in the army and wasn't trained to lose?
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's just like they just Well, as I said, I don't really.
Francois, him.
Oh, well, no, not Marc Francois, the guy that everyone goes to, like, say they want to put a vote in.
Right.
Graham Brady. That's it, Graham Brady.
Yeah, all those people. Yeah, all right. Stay angry, Kieran.
I will do.
All right, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, darts is not a sport. It was ridiculous to suggest otherwise. I mean, I'm sure it's an amusing thing to do while you're having a drink. You know, if you don't have the ability to actually talk to the people that you're with, and you require some sort of activity to while away the evening, then yeah, I totally get it. I mean, it's competitive. It occupies you mentally. I mean, just doing the maths is a feat in itself, I suppose. But it's just not a sport. It isn't. And neither's playing poker. But you'll see that on sports channels as well. That's not a sport either. Darts, come on. Snooker, that's not a sport. That's a pastime as well. I mean, it's incredibly hard. I mean, if you don't know how big a snooker table is, and then you are presented with one, it's unbelievably huge. So what they do is extremely impressive, but it's not a sport. Isn't. I mean, if darts is a sport, which is all about, aiming, then so's going to the loo. Some people are better at it than others, that's all.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
OK, so here's the information that you need concerning chess. In 2019, ESPN, which is an American sports network, released surprising data relating to in-person chess. What's in-person chess? Anyway, whatever it is, I imagine it's two people playing chess, as opposed to not in-person chess. Anyway, so the published data concluded that chess players can use up to 6,000 calories a day during an in-person tournament. That is 3 times more than an average person consumes in an entire day. The study took into account research on calorie consumption and calories burnt by physical exertion and heightened mental activity. Well, I'll go to the foot of our stairs and then climb up them about 50 or 60 times to use up 6,000 calories. But you probably wouldn't even do it, with that. Blimey, that is some serious thinking they're doing there. 6,000 calories. So, yeah, you don't see any overweight chess players. Not that I, off the top of my head, can think of any chess players at all. I mean, there was, the bloke who won the thing. I think it was called Boris, wasn't he?
The great big greedy nincompoop.
Yeah, I don't think he was a great big greedy nincompoop. Wasn't Boris Spassky? That's ancient history, probably. Other than that, got no idea. Not remotely interested. Watching other people do a pastime? No thanks. What would be the point of that? Alan texts, walk like a penguin while walking on ice. Nothing about getting appropriate footwear. Well, the problem with that is you don't know you might not know you're going to be walking on ice before you're walking on ice. I can remember one of the most extraordinary things I ever saw was I was in London's once fashionable King's Road. And it was in the middle of winter. It was quite a few years ago now. And it was some bizarre meteorological phenomenon whereby the ground was ice cold, but it was dry. And so the surface temperature was below freezing, as was the air. But it rained. It didn't snow. Don't ask me how. Well, science will tell you. It didn't snow, it rained. And it rained on freezing ground, thereby making the entirety of the King's Road into an instant ice rink. People were all over the place. I've never seen anything like it. Cars couldn't drive. People were holding on to lampposts just to be able to stand up. Me too. It was absolutely terrifying. Because you couldn't get out of it, because everywhere was covered in this stuff. Never seen that before or since. And I don't wish to, but that is a good thing to keep in mind. Walk like a penguin. A penguin. Wallington. Hello, David.
Oh, hiya. Just going to talk to you about your jigsaws.
Yes.
You're doing. Two it may be a bit more interesting for you is you can have your now favourite photo cut up into jigsaw pieces, 500 or even 1,000, which makes it a bit more enjoyable than maybe moths.
Well, the thing with moths, I've found, is that they all sort of look a bit the same, which makes doing the puzzle a bit difficult because, they're all either brown or reddish or yellowish.
Yeah, it sounds quite a difficult task that to me, really.
Yeah, I think I've maybe chucked myself in at the deep end and I should have started with, like a 12-piece puzzle, something like that.
Yeah, maybe so. But, it's quite a good idea if you've got a favourite photo. I got one of us half up a mountain with my friends.
Ah, yes.
And as you put the pieces together, I mean, there's a purpose to it more so, I think, than something more abstract. I don't know.
There your friends magically appear.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Well, it's just a suggestion, that's all.
Yeah. OK, good work. Thanks a lot, David. 0345 6060 973. What I don't know, being a newbie, is how long it should take. I mean, I've got a 500-piece puzzle. It's round, not square. I'm not sure whether that's relevant. I suppose you don't get corners, so it's all straight, essentially. That would make it a little bit more difficult, I suppose. But how long is it supposed to take? I mean, I know everybody's different, and some people can do a crossword, for instance, like a cryptic crossword, in about 10 seconds flat. Others, like me, will still be staring at it, past lunch and then the following day as well. Or Wordle, for instance. I mean, once I got it in one go. The Wordle word of the day happened to be the same word that I often start with, which was a little bit deflating, actually. I mean, because you can't take any credit for it, and the game was over before it had begun. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. I mean, it didn't give me mental anguish. I didn't start shouting and screaming. I didn't throw my phone through the window. I wasn't that angry. I was just disappointed, that's all. Let's have Birchington. Where's that, Glenn? Oh, Glenn?
Me?
Yes, there you are. Where's Birchington?
It is near Margate in Thanet.
Oh, it sounds a delight.
It's absolutely beautiful, my friend.
Glad to hear it. What have you got for us?
How you doing? How you doing, mate?
Yeah,
You all right?
not bad.
Good. I've got nothing particular I want to talk about. I just want to say I've been listening to you since you were on Virgin medium wave in the mid-90s.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
Ancient history we're talking about now.
Oh, mate, you were
much younger.
You kept me going through my night shift. My first job. You're an absolute superstar, my friend.
Well, that's very nice of you to say so, Glenn.
And it's lovely to talk to you, man.
But you didn't want to really talk about anything at all?
No, not particularly.
No, just wanted to touch base.
Just want to touch base.
Right. Well, I'm glad to have helped you through your night shift, because I know what that's like.
Thank you, mate.
And try not. Are you still doing a night shift now?
No, I'm sitting at home with my dog.
Right. Okay. That sounds like a good place to be. All right. Well, give the dog a bone for me. All right.
I will, bud.
Thanks a lot, Glenn. 0345 6060 973. William texts, if we are £2.3 trillion in debt and there are 70 million in the UK, that means that we owe £32,857 each. I haven't got it. Can I pay monthly? No, William, you cannot pay monthly. You will go straight to jail. Andy texts, does Fabricant's hair contravene any European Court of Human Rights rules and laws? Says Andy in Croydon. He's just concerned for, whatever it is that's floating on top of that man's head.
You don't need to put all of that product in your hair. You just don't.
You see what I mean? He's annoyingly funny. Now, I don't believe that he ever tries to be funny and succeeds. He just is funny. But he is also the devil incarnate, so don't forget that. Dave texts, Nick, when I was a kid, we used to play poo sticks on the Winnie the Pooh bridge on Ashdown Forest. All of these years on, the water companies have... I knew that was coming. The water companies have kindly reimagined this for us.
Disgusting.
Exactly. That's Dave in Bordeaux in France. He says, P.S. the bread tastes better here. Yeah, I know it does. And the butter, by the way. Oh, what I wouldn't give for some proper French bread, but you just can't get it here. It's impossible to find. Believe me, I've tried. The kind of bread that you can get from a bread shop in France that goes stale pretty much in the time it takes for you to take it home. That kind of bread. You just can't get it here. Does not exist. You can get things that are called French bread. You can buy a French stick. Even if you buy it from a fancy bakery, it's still not that instantly stale. If you don't eat it by midday, it's off bread. And by the way, there is a trick for reviving stale bread. This is probably commonly known, but you douse it in water, you know, like a little bit of a sprinkle, and then stick it in the oven, and it magically unstales itself. You can thank me. No, wait, I've changed my mind. You can thank me now.
Thank you.
Martin says 30p Lee, he who likes to call out snowflakes, said on that he went into the no lobby on the Rwanda deal and changed his mind because Labour MPs were laughing at him. Let's not forget he resigned his position because he was certain he would vote against the Rwanda deal. Snowflake, says Martin. In my experience, it's the people who shout snowflake the loudest that are the most snowflakey. Those who just cannot stand to hear an opinion that they do not personally hold. And they just throw all of their toys out of the pram. Exactly. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, Nick. Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Jan.
I'm ringing up about this thing I came across, and how you often talk about, you know, it's crazy to sell the water of this country to privatise it.
Yes.
And I keep coming across these articles about how say in California, for instance, they've approved just at the end of last year that they're going to allow wastewater to be turned into drinking water.
Oh.
And I know it's and as well I've come across. I mean, it's awful. It turns the stomach, but even in this country, they're saying, and it's a bit worrying when you think that, you know, what happens with all that wastewater in Britain, you know, what they're doing with it. But how they're saying that it's may have to be, we might not have much choice in future because there's going to be a shortage of water. I mean, there even is now, you know, some summers we're not allowed to use garden hoses or anything.
Exactly, yes. And in California, they're really, really stuffed for water because they're obsessed with watering their lawns and, their flower beds and so on, but they haven't got any actual fresh water to call their own. So they have to pipe it in from the mountains when the snow melts. And if the mountains don't get the snow melt, then what are they going to do?
So what's happened is that there's an interesting thing, though, is that there's this company that started off has turned bath water and other wastewater into beer, and apparently they won't get his name, but it's what do they call themselves? Epic Clean Tech. So they're recycling wastewater.
Bath water into beer.
Not just bath water. The not the brown stuff. Perhaps I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think I think you're talking about what they call grey water. In other words, the kitchen sink, bath, shower, that kind of thing. Not talking about the other stuff. No.
Well, they weren't going to sell it, but they found that people so interested in. They introduced it into various business meetings and stuff, and there's such a demand for it,
right,
so that he's going to start a business to sell this.
Well, it sounds like the future to me.
And what's interesting is that while he's recycling these things, I mean, look, what was it called? Epic One Water. That's what they call it. The first 7,500 cans went down so well. The man Tartovsky something.
Wait a minute. Back up. What's this beer called?
It's called Epic One Water, and it was started by a young man
One
called...
Water, right.
Yeah, Epic One Water.
Just so as I know what not to order in my boozer the next time I'm in there.
But this is America. This is in America.
Right.
But he's going to start a business because people are interested in it.
Yeah, no doubt.
The novelty of it.
It's a novelty, right. It's a novelty drink, so it's a no from me. No novelty drinks, thanks. I don't want sparklers in my drink, and I don't want umbrellas, and I definitely don't want a cherry. Thanks anyway.
Nick, but what's interesting is that the technology behind it is works the other way. So it's very interesting, like for green energy. So
wait a minute. Are you saying that you can... Hang on a minute. Are you saying that you can take beer and turn it into wastewater?
No.
Because I can do that personally, Jan.
In Edinburgh, this is in your... In
I just have the
Edinburgh.
natural ability to be able to do that myself.
No, but in Edinburgh, they're turning wastewater from the whiskey industry into hydrogen fuel, which is interesting. But what is interesting in both these different processes, this is working it the other way, they're using nanotechnology, and it's hard to imagine the filtering. So for this beer in America, they're using, it's just incredible.
Like a sieve, like
but it's
you would ordinarily use for making tea.
No, this is nanotechnology. It's 1,000th of the diameter of a human hair that they're using for this
like
beer.
you're making it up.
No. And then for this one in Edinburgh, the scientists in Edinburgh University are turning wastewater from the whiskey industry into green hydrogen. But they've developed a nanoscale material. So it's a particle that's 1/10,000th of the diameter of the human hair.
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about there, Jan, but it does sound very, very exciting, that whole turning beer into wastewater. I'll make it my mission to do that from now on. Thanks, Jan. I've got to go. Explain this to me, by the way. Why did my water come out of my taps brown the other day? Huh? And the shower. Brown water.
Disgusting.
That is not the colour of water you want to see coming out of your kitchen tap. What's that about? Never seen that before.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
We are running late. Greg says an easy way to reduce the trillions of pounds of debt would be just to employ a Fujitsu staff member for a week. Well, that's a good point. Phil says, what's wrong with Welsh and Scottish men that the title of Prince of Wales and the Duke of Edinburgh has always been given to an Englishman? That's another good point. The Chuki Embra. Oh, by the way, point of order. Have you been watching The Crown? I did the whole lot in a mad dash. Finished them yesterday. Oh, it's good. That has left a giant-sized hole in my TV schedule. Now what we're going to watch? It was superb. I mean, talk about emotional. I was completely wet down my front. Spoiler alert. Warning. She dies. There, I've ruined it for you. It's just great, and it ends so well. Oh, it's good. It really is. I can't remember watching anything that's quite that good from the start to the finish since Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, The Sopranos. It's up there. It really is. And it's mostly British. Mostly. I think it could be the best. Can we call it a British programme? Because it's an American company, but they're all Brits in it. I don't know what the production team is. Perhaps they're Brits too. But it might be the best British drama ever. And it's a story that we all know. I mean, there aren't any surprises. Not really. Well, a few. If you haven't seen it yet, then, have a box of tissues handy. Chertsey. Hello, Tony.
Oh, hi there, Nick. Nick, your brown water.
Yes.
What did it taste like?
Well, I chose not to drink it.
Yeah, I thought you might. Or might not. Well, it's not too bad, generally.
Huh?
It's not too bad, generally. It's the result of repairs and so on. And when they're doing up the nuts or whatever their method they're using to put the pipes back together, sometimes a little rust is liberated. So, it went clear eventually, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, how do you know this?
I'm clever.
Well, the
No,
jury's
it's not
still
that
out on
high,
that, Tony. So how do you actually know this?
No, well, I've spoken to some of the guys because I'm always interested when a hole is in the road or pavement or whatever. Because I did my apprenticeship with the electricity board, so holes in the ground were involved quite a lot.
Yes.
In fact, this is one. You might even be slightly impressed with this. Tell me at the end. We used to have what they call the gang with us, which was some Irish labourers generally. Great guys, though, absolutely great guys to talk to. And there would be about 20 of them digging trenches. And so I'm always interested in anybody digging in the road. And, to my mind, it's fascinating to actually understand what goes on below our roads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm with you there. But the stuff that's underneath our feet, yes.
Yeah, that's right. I thought about doing one of those sewer visits in London. They'll take you down the sewers and let you have a look.
Well, they're building this super sewer.
Yeah.
That
wouldn't be so interesting.
Oh, I think it would be. I think it'd be marvellous to go down there. I wouldn't want to go into a sewer that is being used as a sewer. No, I'd want to be one that is, is yet to be put to use. And so that super sewer, I think that'd be great to go down there, don't you?
Yeah. Well, it's just a big tunnel. It really is big. It's about 20-foot diameter, I think.
Yeah. You could drive a bus down there. I don't know that that's true, but it doesn't prevent it from being a fact.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I quite agree. Who cares what about facts and truth and all that? Just think it,
Exactly. You're precisely right. Yes. Just imagine it and it will be so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. In a way, imagining is just as good as what we term reality. Because where does the reality actually exist? It only exists in our brains.
Oh, wow, you've just blown my mind, Tony.
Yowza.
I didn't
mean to do that.
I'm thinking of coughing up the blue pill and taking the red one.
Right. Oh, no, don't do that. There's nothing worse than that. Leave those blue ones alone.
I think I'm going to take the red one and the blue one together and see what purple feels like. All right, thanks a lot, mate. Cheers. 0345 6060 973. Derby. Hello, Simon.
Evening, Nick. I think the Tories have made another big mistake. Yes. I've had the job of explaining to my father, who's 91, why his private pension, when he got an 8% rise last year, went down by £10. Of course, it's to do with the personal allowance, which you try and explain to an old person how that works. It was pretty... he's not dim. He's got all his marbles, but it's a bit complicated, isn't it? Because you've got to take your state pension off.
Don't try and explain it to me.
It's a bloody nightmare. Yeah. And you're getting to this point now where they've raised the state pension nicely, but then they're taking it off the private pension.
Yes.
And to say he's enraged would be an understatement.
So who's he going to vote for in the next general election? Don't tell me, because I know already.
Yes, exactly. He's 91, he's very conservative all his life.
Exactly.
This
government...
Precisely, yeah.
But it's even better than that, because we're in South Derbyshire. That's Margaret Beckett. Margaret Beckett's been the Labour MP here for 40 years, hasn't she?
Blimey.
She wins 60% in the last time she was in the election.
Right.
It wouldn't make a difference if we voted. Both of us are voting Labour just to stick that finger that you know about, next to the ring finger up to the Tories.
Okay, well, good work, Simon. I've got to leave it with you there, but it sounds like you need to have the conversation with your dad. Gotta go. I'll read all the texts and tweets and such, of which there are a boatload that I didn't get through tonight at 10 o'clock when I return, 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 10 o'clock.